Good morning. It is a Saturday morning here. Welcome everybody. Again, my name is Ann, and most of you that I'm sharing this with, I work with on an individual basis, and welcome to those who I don't. Anyways, we're going to do a Pilates class today. I'm going to do some standing leg work. I like to use the reformer a lot, and since we don't have that, I'm still going to kind of recreate some footwork with that today. And just kind of go through pretty much of a mat class as we go. I'll try to give some modifications and try to talk you through some things as we're doing them so that you have a better understanding of what you should be feeling with connections of the abdominals and just getting stretching in places that you may need a little bit more than other places. So go ahead and stand nice and tall, and I usually kind of look down at my feet, make sure they're in parallel. Make sure my ankles are right underneath my knees, my hips, and my shoulders. And then I just stand up nice and tall. And I start with a breath, and I try to find a rib cage connection here. And what that really just means is that I'm pulling the abdominal muscles together in a way that's productive, helping me build my core muscles better so that I can stabilize in everything I do in life. It's one thing I really love about Pilates and what has helped me with, and just finding strength that I didn't know that I had, and being able to lift things and do things that I probably wouldn't be able to if I hurt my back like I used to. So on this rib cage connection, I want you to fill the belly up with air as if it were a balloon. It's kind of not natural for us to try to do that, but then the whole idea is then to let the rib cage come in towards the center of your body, just kind of collapsing towards, it's not really collapsing, it's pulling it in because you're using your obliques and your transverse abdominis to do that work. So you're just finding that big opening of the belly, and then you're exhaling it, pulling that rib cage towards the center of the body. Pull the belly button in towards the spine now, and then up towards the heart a little bit. Deepen those abdominal muscles. And you can keep your hands there if that kind of helps give you the feeling of what we're looking for. Let's do that 2 more times. And last one. I'm going to turn to the side here sometimes just to kind of give you an idea of where we're going. We're going to do a roll down here. So I want you just to let your arms be heavy to the side, shoulders relax down, but I want your spine to be reaching up towards the ceiling through the start of this. And then I want you to just nod your chin to your chest. And then as you exhale, trying to keep your head as close to your chest as possible, peeling off an imaginary wall. Coming down through that, again, letting the arms just kind of release and be heavy down towards the floor. Once you get to the bottom, let's go ahead and find a flat back and see if we can go a little further. So I usually bring my hands right underneath my knees. I go into a tabletop position with my back, and then I just kind of bend my elbows and let the chest go towards the thighs. When I can't go any further, then I let the head, the neck, and the shoulders release down to the floor and try to see if I got my hands a little closer to the floor. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, articulate the spine back up to standing. Let's just take an inhale, reaching the arms up this time. And take a dive to the side. And then back to the center, and then to the other side. And back to the center. Let's roll that down again. Release the arms, tuck the chin in, and roll through that. When you get to the bottom, we're going to take a little bend to the knees this time. Hands to the floor, or close to it, or wherever you can. Your hands may be way up here, and that's okay. Find where you can go. And then exhale, lengthen those hamstrings out by lifting the hips towards the ceiling. And then again, bend the knees, come a little closer to the floor if you can. Keep your chest as close to your thighs as you can as you lengthen back out through that. And again, inhale, bend. And exhale, lengthen. And then roll that back up to standing. And reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Clasp the hands together, dive to the side. And back to the center. Another side. And back to the center. And then release those arms down to the side. We're going to go into some footwork here. Like I was saying earlier, I love the reformer and some of the footwork that we do. So your feet are going to be either on your mat or on the floor. I'm trying to see how close you can see my feet, but then you can't see me. So I'm going to go ahead and step a little bit behind. I find that the floor is a little bit more stable for me, for my feet. I'm going to turn to the side here, and let's use our arms today as we do this. And what I want you to do is go into a little bit of a squat, but don't hinge over at the hips. In this position, what I feel are my shins getting a nice stretch there, and I can't go down too far. Now, if I press my hips back a little bit further and did that, I could go a little further into that. But what I'm looking for myself and want you to think about is, can I go down with a flat back or nice and tall through the spine and see how far I can go, and then reach that back up. And then lower that down. And lift. And reach. And lower. I don't always use the arms, but this morning I thought, let's add that. Some of you may be able to squat way down and keep your heels on the floor. Some of you maybe not. 2 more. I always think when I'm on the reformer, my back is just flat on there and I'm just laying down. But you're finding that connection through the abdominals. We're going to lower this one down and hold. And those arms are up towards the ceiling. Let's just press those arms back and back and back. Get a little bit of a back extension here. 3, 2, and 1, and then lower that down. Now we're going to keep our feet in parallel and just lift the heels and do the same thing. Lower and lift. Now this may challenge your balance a little bit. You may have to hold on to something. I have my wall behind me that if I need to, I can step back a little bit and use it. So yeah, if you need a chair beside you, you need a pole to hold on to, feel free to grab something. But make those legs work. Now this last one, we're going to lower that down, arms up towards the ceiling and little pulses with the legs. So if you're holding on to something, your arms don't need to be involved. So, but if they can, reach through that. Now, for those of you who are with me a lot, we talk about the serratus. Have you pulled that serratus down? Pull the shoulder blades back and down. Serratus wraps around the front. It's kind of an oblique muscle there. Not kind of, it is an oblique muscle. And then lengthen through those legs. Lower that down. Now we're going to go into a little turnout position. So the position with the toes, we're going to do this with our feet flat on the floor as you bend down and lift back up. And bend. And lift. And as you notice, I'm not going down too far. Partially because my shins are really tight and they don't allow me to go too far with my heels down. That will change when I lift my heels. May throw my balance off a little bit as well. I love working on balance as we get older. It's something I'm realizing I'm losing. And I have to just really practice it on and off throughout the week. 3 and 2. Hold this last one down. Let's do a little pulse. Pulse, pulse, pulse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then zip up through that now. Heels lifted this time. Still that turnout position, and then you're going to lower and lift it up. Now zip up through the center of the body. Lower and lift. and lower, and lift. And if maybe you want to add the arms to this, we'll take them just out to the side. 4, 3, 2, hold this last one down, and little pulse, 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 pulse. 5, 4, 3, 2, and lengthen that up. All right, so we're gonna do the wide position. V-toe, feet heels, feet flat on the floor there, sorry. So in this position, I don't want you to go way far out, and I don't want you to be so far in that you're putting any pressure. Really want a little turnout, hips, knees, ankles in line. Bend that down. I feel like when I bend down, my knees are a little too far out, so I'm gonna take my feet out a little bit further to get that, where I can go down into a comfortable position and then zip it back up. Lower that down, and lift back up, and lower, and lift, and lower, and lift. If your knees are bothering you at all, and a little, turn your toes a little bit in towards the center is a little helpful. More of a parallel squat, that would be fine as well. Find what works for you and what you may be dealing with. 2 more. Now hold this last one down. I just want you to lift the right heel, and then lower, and the left, and lower, and lift, and lower. Just do 1 more to each side. Now we're going into that heel lift with both feet lifted. So the toes are on, the heels are lifted, and then you're gonna lengthen that back up and lower that down and lengthen and lower and lengthen and lower. We're gonna do that 1 more time, and we're gonna add some movement with the feet. So from this position, just lower your heels. Bend your knees, lift your heels, lengthen your legs. Lower, bend, lift the heels, lengthen the legs. You got it. Lower, lift the heels, lengthen the legs, and lower. Let's do 1 more in that direction, and then guess what? We're gonna switch and do the other direction. So lift the heels first, bend the knees, lower the heels, and lengthen the legs. Anybody else's legs shaking? Because mine are. And bend, lower the heels, and lengthen, lift, bend, lower the heels, and lengthen, lift, bend, lower, and lengthen. We're gonna lift, bend, we're gonna hold and pulse, pulse. Now, if this is too much, just lower the heels and do the pulse, pulse. But you can stay lifted through the heels, keep that there. 4, 3, 2, and lengthen, and lower those heels. Shake those legs out. And we're just gonna do a little prancing. Not quite the same as when we're on the reformer, we can take our heel way under. But let's just shake those legs up. My legs are really shaking this morning. It's my 2nd class, so I had my first live class this morning. So I'm working on that, and hopefully bring that to you soon. 1 more. And then lower that down. All right, how's everybody's feet feeling? They moving, getting some movement in it. Maybe circle those ankles around a little bit. All righty, so we're just gonna come and lay on our mat. So find a way to get on there. So we're gonna come to a seated position. And make sure you're kind of in the middle of your mat. Your feet are about 6 bones distance apart. And when you got that, go ahead and lay yourself all the way down onto the mat. Alrighty, so you're gonna relax your arms to the side here. We're gonna find that rib cage connection again. So again, inhale, open up through the rib cage. Exhale, bring the rib cage towards the center of the body. Pull the belly button in towards the spine, up towards the heart, hands pressed into the floor here. Take another inhale. And an exhale. One more. Now we're going to go into an imprinted spine. For those of you who've been with me for a while, feel free to start moving into that. So our neutral position, hip bones, pelvic bone on the same plane. The hips are flat on the floor and you have a little pocket of air right here behind your back. That is what we call neutral. Imprint would be me letting that pelvic bone tilt up towards the ceiling, the lower back go into the mat. Now as you do that, you're pulling the rib cage together. So release back to neutral. And exhale to tuck. And an inhale to release. And an exhale to tuck. And an inhale to release. Let's do that 3 more times. Last 2. One more. You're going to tuck into the imprint. So again, that lower back is in the floor, the pelvic bone is tilted, the tailbone towards the ceiling, and then you're going to articulate through the spine, lifting all the way up onto the shoulders. Relax your shoulders down. I don't know if you noticed, my head sort of lifted a tiny bit and then laid back down just to get the length there in my upper back and neck. Take an inhale at the top and exhale, articulate back down through the spine. Take an inhale at the bottom. Exhale, round up through the spine, lifting it all the way to the shoulders. If flexion is not good for you, if you have osteoporosis, this would be a good time just to really engage your hamstrings and your glutes a little bit more, and you would just lower your hips down and then lift back, straight back up, keeping a neutral spine. If that is not an issue for you, we're trying to create space between the vertebrae, so I want you just to lower it down one bone at a time, which can be very difficult at times. Exhale, tuck and round it up. Hold it at the top through the inhale. And articulate through the spine as you exhale and lower that down. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, tuck and round it up. Inhale at the top and exhale, articulate down through that. Now I want you to roll that back up or lift back up if that's where you need to go. Put yourself situated at the top. Think about your shoulders nice and open through the chest. You've got that length in the back of your neck. Your hamstrings are really on fire here, holding you up, as well as that abdominal connection. And I want you to lower those hips an inch or 2. And then exhale, lift back up. And lower. And lift. And lower. Two more. And last one. Hold that there. Let's go ahead and reach your arms up towards the ceiling and then let them float back onto the mat behind you, and then articulate the spine back down. Once you get all the way to the bottom, if this is bothersome to your shoulders, bring your hands out to a goalpost or just keep them back on the side of your body there. And you're just going to drop your knees. Hopefully that gave you a little bit more length by adding the arms. And then come back up to the center and then twist to the other side. And then back to the center. Let's do that one more time to each side. And back to the center. And then we're going to separate your feet again, sits bones distance apart. Lift your arms up to a point where you're in neutral position with your back. I find when my arms go all the way down, I tend to arch a little bit. Now, as you inhale, you're going to do a little tuck of the chin just to lengthen the neck there. Then as you exhale, I want you to lift the head, neck, and shoulders, reaching your arms up, and then bring your hands down to the side. For those of you who know me, we love to find our serratus muscle. So that means the shoulder blades are being pulled down towards your hips through that serratus muscle. We're not putting stress on the neck and shoulders here. And yes, this is part of the exercise when we hold it. Now, can you find neutral position with your lower back? Because that's a fun thing to try to do. Because we tend just to tuck into imprint and don't think about what's happening there. Safe place to be if your lower back is bothering you. You can go into that imprint. But if you're strong enough to hold that in that position without any problems with your back, try to do that. And then lower yourself back down, reach the arms long behind your head, but only to the point where you're still in neutral, the lower back. And then exhale, lift the head, neck, and shoulders up. I tend to go right into that imprint, so I'm going to come back out into neutral. And then lower that back down. Let's just do 2 more like that. Just a tiny little warm up of the abdominals here. Don't worry, we're going to do a lot of abdominals here in a moment, in case you were wondering. And lower. And last one. And lower that back down. Let's go ahead and bring our hands out to a T position onto the floor there. We're going to kind of progress into the supine twist here. We're going to start first. I like to lift my heels up to do this from side to side. If my feet are on the floor, you can just keep your heels down. And then we're going to progress to tabletop here in a moment. I'm going to just start with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and lift my heels a little bit. And as I'm going to drop to the back of my room so you can see my foot. See how my feet stay glued together. I'm not keeping this foot on the floor. It is staying glued with the other one. The idea here is to keep the knees in alignment, which if I look up, they're not quite there. So I have to do that by pressing this hip just a little bit up towards the ceiling. So whole idea is to stabilize the hip joint by doing this. And then come back to the center using an exhale. And then you'll switch to the other side. Inhale over. And an exhale to lift. Really engaging those abdominals. Now, if you'd like to join me, we're going to come up to a tabletop position. The other option is to put one of those big balls underneath your knees and do this as well. I know many of you that I work with tend to benefit from that, so feel free to use that. So you're going to inhale over to the right, and then I want you to do just a little tuck like you're going into an imprint. Not a huge movement with your knees. It's a movement with your lower back, your hips, and your abdominals. Then bring it back to the center. And then switch to the other side. Make sure the knees are still in alignment, hips are still aligned, and exhale back to the center. Inhale over. Exhale, lift. Inhale over. Exhale, lift. Inhale. Exhale through. We're going to do 2 more sets. I'm going to add on here. If you'd like a little bit more, you're going to twist. You're going to lengthen the legs, pull them slightly towards the shoulder using your lower abdominals, then exhale back to the center and bend. Inhale over. Find that length. Do a little tuck. Exhale back to the center and bend. Let's do 1 more. I was having too much fun there. Had to add an extra. For those of you who like to count. And then pull those knees in, give yourself a little hug. All right. Let's try to get our abdominals, our lower abdominals really connected here. So, we're going to clasp your hands together, bringing the hands behind the head, elbows out wide, slightly up off the mat. Shoulder blades being pulled down, using those lats and the serratus muscle. I find I connect really well with my serratus, which then connects my lats. I have a harder time finding the lats than I do my serratus, so that I know connects all those back muscles that I need to. Find that little tuck of the chin, then lift the head, neck, and shoulders up. Make sure that's still connected with the serratus, scapula stabilized. Those shoulder blades is what I'm talking about. And then find neutral position with your lower back. And then lower that down. Now you can continue here in this position. I'm going to do one more like this. And I'd like to progress this up to tabletop if you can. So you can keep your feet here or join me in tabletop position. Lifting the head, neck, and shoulders. Serratus connected, scapula stabilized, not putting stress on the neck and the shoulders. Now, see if you can find neutral position with your lower back. Now, from here, you're going to tuck into that imprint. So that tailbone is going to reach up towards the ceiling just a little bit. It's a tiny little movement. And then release back out into neutral slowly. Don't go into an arch. And exhale, tuck. If at any point you need a little break, just lower your head for a moment. Your head should be heavy in your hands. Inhale, release back to neutral. Let's do 3 more like that. Exhale, tuck into imprint. And inhale, release back to neutral. Exhale, tuck into imprint. And release back to neutral. One more, tuck into imprint. Release back to neutral. And then you're going to reach your arms around, grab behind your legs, and lift yourself just a little higher. Because we have to go into a little obliques, and you guys all love this one. Finding that neutral position, reaching your arms long, and start reaching up towards the ceiling. Bring those arms back beside the ears. Clasp your hands together, bring them behind your head. And take a little twist. And back to the center. And other side. And back to the center, and then lower that down. Let's do 3 more. Exhale, lift. Reach around, grab behind the legs, lift yourself a little higher, find neutral position. Reach the arms long. Start reaching up towards the ceiling. Back beside the ears. Clasp the hands together, bring them behind your head, and twist. And center. Twist. And center. And lower down. And exhale, lift. Reach around, grab behind those legs. Find neutral, reach your arms long. Up towards the ceiling, back beside the ears, clasp the hands together, bring them behind the head. And twist. And center. And twist. And center, and lower down. One more, exhale, lift. Reach around, grab behind the legs. Find that lift. Find neutral, reach the arms towards the ceiling, back beside the ears. Clasp the hands together, bring them behind the head, and twist. And center. And twist. And center, hold. And then slowly lower down. I didn't want you to collapse there. Bring the feet to the floor. Let's drop and take a little twist into that and a little break. Woo, we can call that a little break at the moment, right? Now bring them back to the center and then go to the other side. And then come back to the center. Hands are down by the side. And bring those knees up to tabletop position. Now, I will give you an option that you could keep one foot down and do your hinging of the hips here and the leg changes with just one leg at a time. You'll just have to count a few on one side and then the other. Do 4 on one and 4 on the other. And then join us. So we're going to bring both knees up to tabletop today. And you're going to inhale, lower the right toe down. Now, I like to hold this here. Has the bend in the knee changed? I don't want you to bend the knee to tap your toe down. I want you to lower that foot down, keeping that knee at 90 degrees. When you're at the bottom, I want you to pause and really think about your lower abdominals doing the work here. Then lift it back up.
and then switch to the other side. We're going to hold this one down because we did in the last one, right? So we're going to hold that down, find that lower abdominal connection, and use that exhale to lift back up. Inhale, lower. Little pause. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. And you're switching back and forth from right to left. Are you still in a neutral position here with your lower back? I always say if you need something underneath your hips, your hands are always available for that. So feel free to do that if that takes a little pressure off that lower back. Let's do one more set like that. Now we're going to go into that more of a march. So you're going to lower the right foot. As it starts coming up, the left foot's going down. And then switch. If you choose to keep one foot down on the floor, again, just do a few on one side and then a few on the other. 3. 2 more sets. Last one. Pull those knees in. Give yourself a little hug. We're going to go into some leg circles next. If you want to use a band for this, feel free to grab one at this point. I'm just going to do it with, I'm doing no props today, but it doesn't mean if you have availability to them that you can't grab something to help and to use during this time. So we're going to lower the left foot down, reach the right leg up to the ceiling, flex the foot. If you can, straighten that other leg out on the mat. I'm going to have my hands more out to a T, maybe a goalpost position. You're going to drop your leg over to the center of the body and then circle down and around. Making sure you're breathing through this movement. Keeping the hips still as you do this. You're getting that hip socket movement, that rotation, but your hips are staying stabilized on the floor there. 2 more. And last one. And then switch directions. Open, circle down and around. And circle. Two more. And last one. And then go ahead and grab behind that. Let's just move that ankle again. Find a little circle through that. And then switch and go the other direction. And then bring that foot down. Bring the other knee in. Lengthen that leg. Lengthen the leg on the floor. And then you're going to cross the leg over the center and circle. And circle. 3 more. And 2. And last one. And switch directions. Open, circle. Got one more. Grab behind that leg, circle through that ankle, find that movement. Now if you happen to have a band and you want to put them, we're going to do a roll up here. And so you can put this around your feet and use it to assist you to get up and down a little bit. Feel free to use that. So I just put it around both feet and then lengthen the legs, lengthen the arms. If roll-ups are not good for you, you can do kind of a half roll down. So I'll kind of show you that once we get up into that position. Feel free to come to a seated position first if you need that. You're going to reach the arms up towards the ceiling. You're going to tuck the chin in. And you're going to slowly peel off of that spine and roll yourself up. We are actually going to lengthen through the spine, reach up towards the ceiling today, and find a twist in this one too. And then reach back up, twist to the other side, reach back up, and roll all the way down if that's where you're going. I'm going to give you that option if you don't want to roll all the way down, can't get all the way down and back up. You would come part way down and then use those abdominals to lift yourself back up. And then reach back up to the ceiling and find that twist. And lift. And twist. And lift. And this is the full one, all the way down. Reach it back out. Lift your arms up, tuck the chin in. Roll up through that. Reach the arms to the ceiling and twist. And lift. And twist. Finding that nice rotation through that spine. Let's do that 2 more times. And last one. And twist. And reach. And twist. And reach. And then take a dive over those legs. Give yourself a little bit of a breather. How we all feeling? Hopefully well. All right, so I want to separate your feet a little bit here. Let's scoot back just a little bit. And what I want to make sure is that the legs are aligned, the hips are aligned, and stacked nice and tall. If you need a little boost because it's really hard on your hamstrings to sit like this, or your hip flexors, you can roll your mat up and give yourself a little boost. You can bring your feet together, your knees separated, and then reach out as well. I kind of like it up here today. So I'm going to go ahead and keep myself lifted. My feet are about sits bones distance apart, maybe a little bit further, maybe more than mat width. Arms are out in front, and we're going to peel down that imaginary wall. So we're going to take the head off and then the upper back. We're going to keep the shoulders intact here as much as we can. And then we're going to come down into that. Kind of hinge forward. I always find, like, if I hold on to my feet or my ankles or my shins, I can just go a little further into that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to find length. So wherever you're holding on to, lengthen out through the spine. And then curl back into that. Reach the arms out long again. And then round that spine back in and back up to stacking it all the way to the crown of the head. Tuck the chin in. Peel off that imaginary wall, reaching it forward. Finding that length. Reaching the arms long. Oh, no, sorry, forgot this one. Lengthening through the spine. Let's find that length. And then round back over, reach the arms out, and roll back up to seated. We're going to add a little bit of more of a back extension here. So we're going to roll down, reach it out. Maybe grab a hold and pull yourself a little further into that. Find a place to find that flat back. Then you're going to reach the right arm and the left arm beside the ears and little pulses up towards the ceiling. You may be here, you may be here, you may be almost to seated position to get that flat back. But I really want the length of the back here, wherever you can go. And little pulse, 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 pulse. 3, 2, 1. Lower the hands down. Take that stretch over. And then stack the spine back up. All right. So you can stay seated in that direction. I'm going to do it in this direction this time, just so you can kind of see what we're doing. I'm going to bring my feet out in front. We're flexing through the feet. Arms are in goalpost position or out to a T. I'm going to do it in the goalpost today. I like to do that with shoulder issues. Sometimes that is helpful for me. The idea of here is what I'm trying to do is get you to understand that my feet are not to be moving. They do tend to move a little bit sometimes when I do this. The other thing is, if this is not comfortable, stay up in that position with the mat underneath you. Cross your legs over. Let me go ahead and do this with my legs crossed the first time since I'm here. You can also sit in a chair as well. So take an inhale As you exhale, I want you to just wring out at the waist, twisting around. Don't allow your arm to pull you any further. Just keep that at goalpost. Now in this position, that arm, so this would be my left arm, I'm pulling it down with the serratus. I'm exaggerating that a little bit so you can see the arm movement, but it's really right here on the other side is where I'm pulling that muscle down to get that scapula stabilized. Let's do that one more time and then come back to the center. And then switch to the other side. And then pull that serratus and come back out. And pull. And release. And pull. And release. One more. And release and come back to the center. Take an inhale. Now we're just do a double exhale. And then come back to the center. Twist. A little further and back to the center. And center. And center. One more. And center. Release those arms down. Let's do a couple mermaids. So we're just going to take both of our feet, flip them to the side. If this again is not comfortable, feet out in front, sitting in a chair is great for some people. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the hand down onto the right side. We're going to reach this up and over and twist into that. I did a class yesterday with my friend Rebecca, and she did mermaids too. She kind of did it as if we were on the reformer, but weren't, which was kind of fun. We're just going to kind of go over and twisting today. And this working with Rebecca, not that we work all the time together, but these times are very different. But then again, I might have talked to her more recently than on a regular basis, which has been fun. Just calling and chatting with people that I don't normally do on a regular basis. Let's do that one more time to each side. And then we're going to switch your legs. So bring them out to the front and then both to the same side together. And then up and over. And then come back out. And out. And out. And I forgot the twist. Up and over. And then find that twist. And reach it back up. And out. Up and over. One more. And then come out of that. And since we're here, we'll lay all the way down for some side lifts. Our legs are nice and long. Our whole body is straight here. If you tend to put pressure on your lower back, I always tend to bring people's feet to the corner of the mat if that's the case. If you can keep them there and use your oblique muscles, feel free to keep them completely straight. I'm just going to have my arm out long, my head down on the floor, my legs lifted an inch or two up off the floor. You have a couple options with your arm here. If you need the support, keep it here, hand, or reaching to the ceiling. So find what works for you. And then you're going to just lift both legs up towards the ceiling using those oblique muscles and then lower down. And lift. And lower. And lift. And lower. Two more. Now we're going to hold this last one up and then just lower the bottom foot. Use that inner thigh to lift it back up to the top foot. And lower. And lift. And lower. And lift. 3, 2, 1 more. Hold it up, 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 up. And then lower that down. Bring your feet to the corner of the mat. You're going to lift the top leg up to about hip height, flexing through that foot. One option would be to bend that bottom knee, making sure your hips are stacked on top of each other. So find where you can do that and keep that balance, and you're going to come forward and point back. And forward. And back. One more. And then bicycle. We're going to bend the knee, reach it forward, and circle that around. When you're doing this, feel like you're getting a nice hip flexor stretch here without dropping your hip back behind you. Then when you're here, lengthen that leg all the way out. Feel the hamstring. So get the most out of the length of this. 2 more. And last one. Then reverse. Bend, reach, kick that forward. Bend, reach, and forward. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now bring that leg back on top of the other and keep that hip height. Heel goes towards the ceiling slightly, toe down towards the floor, and lift and lower and lift and lower, lift and lower. 3, 2, and 1, and then lower that all the way down. Whew. Try shake that out a little bit. Figure 4 stretch. Sometimes I just do it on the floor here like this, or you can lay on your back, crossing that leg over, pulling your knee into your chest. All right, and then we're going to rock back up and go to the other side. And I don't have anybody here to keep me accountable, so hopefully I get it all what we did on the other side. Legs nice and long, feet slightly up off the floor, using those oblique muscles, lift and lower. I find this side is a little easier for me, so I always start on my hard side. I could even lift my arm here, but since I did it on the other side, I'm going to keep it down. I like to try to keep as even as possible on either side. 2, and last one, lower the bottom foot and lift. Lower and lift. Don't forget to breathe through this. Remember, the rib cage is connecting the whole time. Through that exhale, really pull it together. 3, 2, last one, hold it up, hold it, and then lower, bring the feet to the corner of the mat if they're not already there. Lift the top leg, flex the foot, that bottom knee can be bent. Kick forward and point back. Kick forward. You don't need to do what I just did by lifting that bottom leg. Almost lost my balance there a little bit. 3, 2, 1 more. And then we're going to go into bicycle. So bend, reach, and circle. Then switch directions. Come forward first, bend, press behind. Forward, bend, press. Stack those legs on top of each other, heel towards the ceiling slightly, toe down towards the floor a little, and then lift and lower. Lift and lower. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then lower that figure 4 stretch either here or come onto your back. Cross that leg over, pull that knee into your chest. All right, and then you're gonna come back over onto your hands and knees now. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Let's do a couple cat stretch and cow stretch. Finding that back extension, lifting the head, opening through the chest as you come out of that. And then again, let's go ahead and round through that. And lift. And one more. And then lower that down. Now we're going to come all the way down onto our mat for a back extension. I'm going to reach my arms out long. My legs are nice and long behind me. We're looking straight at the floor, trying to keep your neck in line with your spine. I'm going to do an opposite arm, opposite leg is where we're progressing to. We're going to start just with one arm at a time. So we're looking at the floor. We're going to lift the chest as the right elbow comes back to the side, and then lower that down. And then switch arms and lower. Lift the chest and lower. One more like that. This is where we're going to add the opposite leg. So for me, it's my left arm pulling back, my right leg lifting, and then lower, and then switch and lower. I am really not good with my left and right, and I said right when I lifted my left, so if you notice that, just ignore me. Just make sure you're trying to stay even, doing one side and then the other, and always finishing on the opposite side you started. We all have our little quirks in life, I'm sure. Let's do one more set. Lower that down, hands to the side. Woo! Let's go into a little challenge. You can either turn your toes and lift up to a plank, or you can come up onto your knees first and then to a plank. A little fun challenge here at the end. Feel free just to shell stretch back into child's pose if you want. So take an inhale, and as you exhale, I want you to use those arms to lift yourself up into that plank position. You can be here. So this is one would be lifting straight up here. The other one would be, let's see if my arms will allow me to do it. Lift up and hold that plank. Find that position. Hold that there. Nice little fun challenge at the end. Now with your triceps, I want you to bend your triceps, bend your elbows, down all the way to the floor. And a Pilates push-up, we're going to try is we're going to lift it up, and then we're going to walk our hands back, round through that, and then round your spine back up. Let's do that one more time. Lower your arms down, tuck the chin in, come down to the floor, walk your hands out. 1, 2, 3. Let's go all the way down. Lift back up and walk your hands back. That would be a fun little challenge here at the end. And then reach the arms back up to the ceiling and lower those arms down. Let's come to the middle of the mat again. Just sitting up nice and tall. Ending with just some nice stretching. I'm going to have to do another video because I had like 16 more exercises to do. But realized I couldn't get everything in I had planned. All right, let's just roll through the shoulders. All right, if this is a comfortable position to stretch in, keep your legs crossed. I'm going to take my right leg up on top of my left leg. And then I'm just going to walk my hands out in the front. very similar to that figure 4 stretch, still getting that glute, that hip, just in a little bit different position. So feel free to lay on your back again and go into that stretch. And then walk your hands back in. And then we're going to switch legs. So bring the left foot up on top. And this time walk out again. Again, this may not be comfortable for you, so find a stretch. You can even, if you have a band or a towel or something to put around your foot, lay on your back and do your stretches by pressing your leg up towards the ceiling and pulling it in with that band, towel, or belt. And then walk those hands in. Let's go ahead and a little stretch of the hip flexor. So we're going to come up onto our hands and knees to start, and then bring the right foot out in front of you. And I want to start with just kind of a hip flexor here. You can turn the toe and lift the knee up. But really where I really want to go is to that pigeon, if you can go there. So you're going to bring your foot through, open up through that back leg. Option would be bend the knee, hold here. If you can keep that leg straight, and then drop all the way down into that. This is one of those I feel like I could stay here and benefit from this all day long. All right, come back up out of that. Bring that foot back. You'll switch to the other leg. If you want to start with this leg first, or this stretch first, and want to stay there, feel free. But if you can go into that pigeon and bring that foot through, lengthen out that leg, and then when you're ready, go ahead and lay down into that. Your hands back, bring that foot back, knees and hands on the floor, lift the hips to the ceiling, press your chest back towards your thighs. Maybe do a little stretch, one heel down and then the other. And press both heels down. Bend the knees. Walk your hands back to your feet. Nice little stretch here, maybe that bend and stretch that we did at the beginning. And then roll it back up to standing. Inhale, reach up towards the ceiling, clasp your hands, dive to the side, back to the center, other side. And back to the center and exhale. Thank you guys so much for coming again. Tried to stick to an hour this time, which was a little better than my 30 minutes I tried yesterday, which ended up being about 48. So again, I look forward to seeing you guys someday in person again. But for now, let's just keep working out together. I'll keep posting these as much as I can. I have been working a little bit with my husband, doing some maintenance at our church. So I have some time and availability to do this. I will take the time to make more videos, hopefully get a live one going with Zoom. I started this morning with a small group of people and just trying to learn how it goes. Hope you guys are staying safe, everybody's staying well. Please keep in touch. Look forward to seeing you again. All right, have a great day. Talk to you later.